It began with a storm. The wind howled over Babylon, carrying the scent of dust and death. Inside the palace of Nebuchadnezzar, a legend was dying. Alexander the Great, conqueror of worlds, lay motionless on a golden bed. His eyes, once bright as fire, had dimmed. Around him, his generals whispered in fear. None dared to speak the truth. The God King was gone. But the question that would haunt centuries was not how he died. It was, where did they bury him? As the news spread, the empire trembled. From Macedonia to India, men who had fought beside him now fought each other. His body was no longer just a corpse. It was a symbol of power. Whoever possessed it could claim to be his rightful heir. According to ancient accounts, his body was to be taken back to Igi, the land of his fathers in Macedonia. But something changed. Somewhere along that journey, the path of his funeral procession was diverted. By whom and why? The historian Diodorus Siculus wrote that a magnificent carriage was built for Alexander's body, a golden chariot with lions, precious stones, and intricate carvings of gods mourning their son. It was said to take 2 years to construct, and when it finally left Babylon, thousands followed it like a moving temple. But as the funeral caravan crossed into Syria, a betrayal occurred. Ptolemy, one of Alexander's most trusted generals, ambushed the procession. With an army at his back, he seized the corpse and declared that the conqueror's body would not return to Macedonia, but instead to Egypt. Why Egypt? Because Ptolemy had a plan. He knew that in a land where gods ruled the living, the body of Alexander, a man worshipped as the son of Zeus, could make him divine by association. He would build his rule upon the bones of God. When the caravan entered Memphis, the ancient capital of Egypt, the people came out by the thousands. They lined the roads with lotus flowers and incense. Priests from the temple of Ptah declared the fallen king Osiris reborn. And there, for a time, Alexander rested, inside a grand mausoleum guarded day and night. But Egypt was a land of shifting sands. Even pyramids eroded. And soon, the tomb vanished from Memphis, moved again to a new city built in Alexander's own name, Alexandria. In Alexandria, Ptolemy's descendants, the Ptolemaic dynasty, turned the tomb into a sacred place. It was said to lie inside a vast complex called the Sema, part temple, part shrine, part fortress. The body lay within a crystal coffin, glowing beneath the torchlight. Visitors described kneeling before his preserved face, still beautiful, still serene. Caesar himself wept upon seeing it. Later, Augustus touched the face of the dead conqueror and accidentally broke off part of his nose. But then, the records go silent. The tomb that had once drawn emperors disappeared from history. Centuries passed. Alexandria was conquered, rebuilt, burned, and buried beneath its own ruins. Earthquakes reshaped its coast. Sand swallowed its streets. And somewhere beneath that sand, or perhaps beneath the modern city itself, lies the lost tomb of Alexander the Great. But some say the body was moved again in secret, that priests, fearing desecration, hid it deep beneath another city or under the sea. Others whisper that the tomb is cursed, that anyone who seeks it meets the same fate as the man it holds. One Roman scholar even claimed, Alexander's body cannot be found because the gods took it. For 2,000 years, explorers have searched for that body, from Napoleon scholars to modern archaeologists. Each discovery, each rumor, each fragment of marble only deepens the mystery. What if Alexander's tomb wasn't lost by accident, but hidden deliberately? And if so, what secret did it guard? They say Alexandria is a city built upon ghosts. Every stone, every alley hides a buried world beneath it. Temples, palaces, catacombs, layers of forgotten time. Somewhere below those layers, beneath streets crowded with life, may lie the final resting place of Alexander the Great. And the deeper one digs, the stranger the clues become. When archaeologists first began excavating the ancient royal quarter, they uncovered statues of Greek gods with Egyptian crowns, mosaics of lions and thunderbolts, fragments of gold leaf and marble that whispered of divine kingship. But there was something missing, something sacred. No one could find the Sema, the mausoleum said to hold the world's most famous corpse. According to Strabo, the Greek historian who visited Alexandria around 25 BC, Alexander's body lay in a splendid enclosure in the middle of the city between the great crossroads. The tomb, he said, was still honored by the rulers of Rome. Yet by the time of Caracalla, nearly 2 centuries later, the site was sealed and then erased. What happened? In 215 AD, Emperor Caracalla, obsessed with Alexander, arrived in Alexandria. He wore the Macedonian cloak, called himself the Second Alexander, and ordered thousands of citizens slaughtered after they mocked him. Then he demanded entry to the tomb. No one knows what he saw inside, but witnesses wrote that when he emerged, his face was pale, his hands trembling. He left the city in silence, and months later, he was assassinated. Soon after, earthquakes struck the region. The royal quarter sank, and the tomb was lost beneath rubble and flood. Some believe Caracalla's visit had awakened a curse. Centuries later, the Christianization of the Roman world erased what remained. Pagan temples were torn down, idols destroyed. The worship of Alexander as a god was declared heresy. Priests who once guarded the tomb vanished, their order hunted to extinction. But in the chaos of destruction, a few whispered accounts survived of men who smuggled the body away. A Coptic chronicle from the 4th century tells of a shining sarcophagus carried west from Alexandria to a secret cave in the sands. Others point east to Siwa Oasis, where Alexander had once been proclaimed the son of Zeus-Ammon. There, a ruined temple lies half-buried, its chambers sealed with stone, too dangerous to open, locals say, for fear of divine wrath. In the 20th century, explorers believed they were close. In 1933, a construction crew in Alexandria broke into an underground chamber. They found a massive granite coffin carved in the Hellenistic style. It was empty, but nearby inscriptions bore the symbol of Zeus-Ammon, the very god Alexander claimed as his father. Some believe this was part of the Soma complex, the missing Sema, destroyed in an earthquake and rebuilt again and again over centuries. Others insisted it was a decoy, a false tomb, meant to protect the true one from grave robbers and enemies. Then came the most chilling discovery of all. In 1995, French archaeologists exploring under modern Alexandria streets discovered a sealed vault covered in black basalt. Inside were relics of a Macedonian cult, votive offerings, weapons, coins bearing Alexander's face, and a carved message, "The one who is not dead." Was this a symbolic shrine, or a crypt built to honor a body that never truly lay there? Some modern historians propose that Alexander's mummified remains were hidden beneath the foundations of St. Mark's Cathedral, the oldest church in Alexandria. The irony would be divine. For centuries, Christians believed St. Mark's bones rested there. But some scholars argue the relics brought from Egypt to Venice in the 9th century weren't Mark's at all. They might have been Alexander's. The timelines, the secrecy, and the descriptions match eerily well. Could the greatest conqueror in history lie beneath a Christian altar, mistaken for a saint? Others point to a more secretive theory, that Alexander's followers, fearing his deification would be lost to the new faith, hid his body beneath the sea. Alexandria's coast, prone to earthquakes and tsunamis, swallowed entire districts, including the palaces of Cleopatra and the Ptolemies. Divers exploring the harbor of Alexandria have found colossal ruins underwater, columns, statues, and fragments of royal tombs. Among them, A single marble fragment bearing the Greek letters Alpha Lambda Epsilon Xi Alpha. Half a name, half a clue. Enough to reignite the obsession. For centuries, the tomb hunters continued to chase shadows. Archaeologists, mystics, even military leaders. Each claimed to have found it. Each was wrong. And yet the mystery persists, not just because of where he was buried, but because of what his burial meant. In the ancient world, death was not the end. For men like Alexander, death was transformation. He had sought to unite gods and men, east and west, mortal and divine. Perhaps his body was never meant to rest in one place, but to remain unfound, suspended between myth and memory. But then, in 2019, a strange report emerged from northern Egypt. A black sarcophagus, massive, sealed, and untouched for over 2,000 years. Could this be it? The year was 2019, and Egypt was buzzing with whispers. In Alexandria, a construction team digging for a new building stumbled upon something colossal, a black granite sarcophagus, 10 feet long, sealed tight. It was unlike anything archaeologists had ever seen. Unmarked, untouched, and older than the Ptolemies themselves. The world held its breath. Could this be the lost tomb of Alexander the Great? The sarcophagus was buried 16 feet underground, its lid fused to the coffin by centuries of stone dust. Rumors spread like wildfire. Egyptian locals warned that breaking it open would unleash a curse, the same one that had killed those who disturbed Caracalla tomb centuries ago. Some even claimed lightning struck the area on the night it was found. But science prevailed. The tomb was opened under strict supervision. Cameras rolled. The world watched live. And what they found inside shocked everyone. No golden armor. No diadem of Macedon. No crystal coffin or preserved face of a god. Instead, 3 decomposed skeletons lay twisted in a pool of red liquid, a strange mixture of water and sewage that had seeped through the stone. The smell was unbearable. Experts said they were likely soldiers from the Ptolemaic period, but some believed it was a trap tomb, meant to mislead anyone searching for Alexander's remains. Once again, the world's greatest archaeological mystery slipped back into darkness. Yet, the black sarcophagus left behind more questions than answers. Why was it built in the Greek style, but sealed with Egyptian craftsmanship? Why buried in Alexandria, of all places? And why, despite endless excavation, has no other royal tomb from the Ptolemaic line ever been found nearby? Soon after, an Egyptian historian released a controversial theory that Alexander's tomb was intentionally erased from history by his own followers. According to his writings, after Alexander's death, a secret cult arose, the cult of the Golden Child, sworn to protect his divine remains. They believed his body was the vessel of a god, and if disturbed, chaos would follow. When Christianity spread through Egypt, the cult's last members buried the body in an unmarked crypt beneath the ancient necropolis, sealing it with black stone to represent eternity. The sarcophagus discovered in 2019, he claimed was one of the decoys. But his most chilling claim was this: the true tomb lies beneath the city's oldest temple, one that has been rebuilt under many names and many faiths. That temple, historians realized, stood directly beneath St. Mark's Cathedral. And so, the legend returned full circle. Modern scanning technology, ground-penetrating radar, and seismic imaging has shown hollow chambers deep beneath the cathedral. But excavation is forbidden. The site is sacred, layered with centuries of faith and history. Still, the data suggests something monumental: a sealed stone chamber, untouched since antiquity. Could the body of Alexander the Great, worshipped as divine, now rest beneath the altar of a saint? It would not be the first time history wore a different mask. If the tomb truly lies beneath Alexandria, it might explain why no empire has ever found it. Every ruler who sought it, from Napoleon to Mussolini, failed. And perhaps that is how Alexander wanted it. Because in death, as in life, he refused to belong to any one land, any one people, any one god. He was Macedonian by birth, Greek by culture, Persian by ambition, Egyptian by destiny, and something greater by legacy. The mystery of his tomb is not just about where he rests. It is about why his body still matters. To find his tomb is to touch the myth itself, the dream of a man who sought to unite the world. And maybe, as long as we search for it, a part of him still rules us from the shadows of time. Perhaps the tomb will never be found. Perhaps it was meant to stay hidden, buried beneath faith and legend. But imagine this. What if one day, someone breaks through that final layer of stone and a single torchlight flickers upon a mummified king, his eyes open again after 2,000 years? Would the world even be ready? Story finished.